This is water falling. Because I'm about to animate a waterfall in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and then 10 hours. Let's begin, shall we? Okay, I have a little bit of a plan in that I'm gonna probably do 3 frames, and I just kind of draw a waterfall and then redraw it. It'll look like it's moving. And my 10 seconds starts now. Right, we just do like, yeah, that's a waterfall, right? So, turn the onion skin off. I don't know if any still image from this looks like a waterfall. Maybe with context, but let's have a look. I mean, I could call that a waterfall. You can see the stream, you can see the foam. Job well done. Let's move on to 1 minute. So now I can just draw a more recognizable waterfall. Maybe I do 4 frames, put more intention into the motion. My 1 minute starts now. Okay, so first I'm just gonna draw this foam slash rippley thing at the bottom. That's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna do the water on top after. So I don't have a lot of time, but I think I can manage. I'll just do 4 frames. Kind of random here, not trying to actually loop it. If it's like random enough, it'll look fine. Okay, so just some water freaking streaming down. I don't know how long has elapsed. Okay, I'm fine now. I'm gonna do like little droplets happening. Okay, it is, okay, this might turn out okay. Let's see if that's true. Okay, I made the waterfall too wide. That's annoying, but I think this turned out probably better than the other one. Yeah, I mean, it's more detailed. Looks kind of like a waterfall, but let's improve upon it. Okay, I'm actually going to use solid colors on this one as opposed to just outlines, and I think I'll draw a background as well. Don't know if that's a good idea, pre-selecting the color, but... Alright, 10 minutes starting now. Sure, I'll draw some little grass down here. Ah, pink outline. Okay, I'm going to try and draw a decent background, but I can only spend like a minute on it. Let's just do the 2 rectangles. I'll do some like rocks. I also have to draw a body of water. For the waterfall to actually flow into. Yep, that'll do, probably. Make the grass lighter, I guess. Okay, this needs to like flatten out a little bit. Alright, let's just start animating. Use the same color as the water I have, and then just make this shape. I'll make like a little loop of it jiggling around. So I just redraw that slightly differently. Or rather, I try to draw it the same, and it'll naturally end up a little different. So, you know, already kind of flowing. Change the brush size, 32 maybe. So I'm gonna have some streaks that kind of like fall down. I'll try and make this loop. So these ones at the bottom are disappearing, new ones are coming in. Okay, so now I'm gonna try and like get it to loop back to normal. So I have these other ones come in. Okay, that might work. We're getting the building blocks or something. I'm almost halfway. Gosh. I should put all these in symbols so they can loop infinitely. The placement is annoying. I have to like match it up now. So on top of that, I'm doing some like just big splotches. I really have to deal with the foam as well. I gotta just hurry this along. Man, this is a short 10 minutes. Okay, I'm doing some foam. Just draw these big cloudy shapes, move them around a bit. There's really no time to try and make like a nice loop of it. I'm just gonna do it randomly. Do like 8 frames. I got 1:22 left. That is not good. Okay, then I do some like ripples on top of that. Just have them kind of expand out and disappear. And then new ones come in. That is gonna have to do. I wanna add some dark bits on the waterfall as well. Oh man, this is not very good. I got like 15 seconds left. Okay, that will have to do, I suppose. Let's have a look at it. Okay, I mean, definitely does look more like a waterfall than the last two. So that I can't complain about. It's a bit scribbly and basic. I was planning on doing more with the background, but I realized time was of the essence. There's a long way to go from here, so let's move on to 1 hour. This time I set up the background with 2 rocky cliffs, leaving a gap for the waterfall. With more time at my disposal, I was able to sculpt out some rock shapes using shadows and highlights. Not too incredible, but it looks decent enough. I also had some rocks sticking out of the water. Even though this middle section is covered by the waterfall, I drew that portion of the cliff because it's visible through gaps and transparency. Now to animate the overall shape. Just like last time, I'm redrawing the waterfall to give it some movement, but it's more accurate with more frames. I thought it would be cool to have this split caused by a rock. Would have been easier if I did that from the start instead of erasing, but here we are. With that out of the way, I moved on to animating some holes flowing down. First I drew these red splotches on another layer and animated them moving downwards. Then I merged the layers and deleted the red patches one by one, leaving holes. For the foam at the bottom, I tried to make an actual flowing loop this time. So I drew these cloudy shapes with a bit more detail and added enough in-betweens for a relatively smooth motion. I animated some ripples coming out in a similar fashion, making sure they looped nicely. Time to add more detail to the waterfall itself. I animated a bunch of dark patches very loosely dropping down. I would have done more tones, but time was already running out. Then I did highlights on top and some throughout. I also dropped the opacity of the whole waterfall slightly. Okay, that looks pretty good. Not sure if it looks like an hour's worth of work, but there's always just a lot that goes into these things. Definitely much nicer aesthetically than the last 3. Yeah, still relatively simple, but much cleaner and prettier, and I think that could make for a decent background. But let's see what I can do with 10 whole hours. I blocked out the environment again, then went straight into animating the waterfall shape. It's basically an upgraded version of the 1 hour animation. I'm using orange because it's easier to see with the default onion skin colors. To animate the holes, I first put in these red lines as reference points. I could easily tweak the layout and speed before committing to animating the hand-drawn shapes. Once all those holes were animated, I merged the layers, filled everything in, and turned it blue. Now to make some highlights on top. I just have them kind of wiggling and expanding and contracting. For these dark patches, I animated them moving down using the holes as a positioning guide. I keep the shapes roughly consistent, but they're morphing enough to have a liquid look. I also drew some darker spots in the middle of those. Time for more highlights throughout the waterfall. I animated them the same way I did up top, having them stay in the same area but move around a bit. I made a 9-frame loop of this since the whole animation is 27 frames. Then there's the issue of the highlights floating above the holes, so I erased where that happens. That's what I ended up doing for quite a few elements before realizing I should just mask it into the base layer. But now I'm animating a dark static loop up top, with darker spots inside that. Then of course needlessly erasing where the holes go. At least it gives a unique imperfect edge around it. For the foam at the bottom I devised a solid plan. I animated some circles going up and down, mostly to the left, some straight up and some to the right. With staggered starting points in different sizes, we had a good base to draw from. So I drew my typical foam shape, but roughly followed the circles for a dynamic loop. Now to animate the foam rippling out, I drew the outer shape where it disappears, some holy blobs at the start and a wavy ripple in the middle. After a lot of in-between frames, it starts to look pretty good. I did a couple more layers of connecting foam/ripple pieces to connect everything. Back to the waterfall, I animated some static pale blue patches, as well as some moving down the same way as before, still erasing where the holes go. Now some quick blobs coming off the top and quickly disappearing. At the bottom I did a larger version of what I animated at the top with the dark static stream and darker area within. Then a lighter patch in the middle of the waterfall to give it more range, and of course even lighter within that. I put in some bigger highlights and fixed some holes, then went back to the foam. I needed some smaller bits flying off to give it more detail and life. To shade it, I first tried adding patches of shadow, then decided to instead colour everything darker and draw in areas of light. I did some highlights in the middle to give the illusion of another layer of bubbles, creating depth. To add even more detail to the waterfall, I drew a scribbly array of lines in a chaotic loop. I duplicated that and offset the starting frame for 2 loops that were black and white with low opacity. The sides were looking a bit sharp and solid to me, so I animated these dots rushing alongside it. I'm not sure what to call it, but I think it's an improvement. Behind the waterfall I also added another layer of scraggly transparent water. Time to add some dark patches alongside the foam that are sort of the shading of some waves. Now I want to get the reflection and ripple effect sorted out. The ripple was done by animating these circles as a mask to reveal a slightly offset version of the reflection. For the background I went into Photoshop, as I usually do, and painted some cliffs with grass on top. I did a simple picturesque daytime sky and some big rocks poking out of the water. I also thought it would be nice to have some foliage in the foreground and trees up top. Back in Adobe Animate, I placed all the elements in their correct layers and messed around for a while getting the reflection to look right, then made the ripple dissolve out. I played with the opacity and blending mode of the waterfall, then worked on some finer details and mist. And then it's just final touches. And that's my 10-hour waterfall. Quite idyllic, I would say. It might not look like much, but as you just saw, there's a lot of detail that went into this. Maybe a lot of it was inefficient, and namely erasing the holes, definitely. It's good to make mistakes and learn from them, but I'm okay with this result. Certainly an upgrade from the 1 hour, definitely from the rest. I think it could do with more detail on the foam and rippling side of things. Maybe even the background, but that's not really part of the animation. I probably could have achieved a similar look to the flowing water in the waterfall, without such a ridiculous amount of layers. But yeah, pretty good waterfall. Alright, I have befallen the waters. I hope you enjoyed what I've shown you. Go out there and try it for yourself. But anyway, have a nice week, and I'll see you next time.